Doomsayer. What's up, man?
What's going on, BRAP? How you doing?
That's how I open up the show. I just yell Doomsayer.
Hey, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Are you watching the NFL draft, good sir?
Right behind me and pulling my gray hairs out right now because I don't know what in the world Chicago is doing.
I mean, I this year I didn't really. I mean, I watched the first round, bits and pieces of the first round last night. Saw Cam Ward go number 1. Surprised that Shador Sanders wasn't drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've really been keeping up with the Bears. Some of the Commanders fans were kind of in their pants about them drafting the offensive tackle from Oregon, but I was watching some of the tape on him and listening to oh god, I can't remember the GM of the Washington Commanders now. But I remember him. He's talking about his R&D department, and they were running like analytics of, and I forget the gentleman they drafted who plays left tackle at Oregon. But you know, is that who? Okay, yeah, I guess
Connolly Jr. He's really good. The Bears actually, a lot of people were were hoping that he was going to fall to the second round so they can get him at 39. But then you guys picked him up, so it was like, shit, damn it.
Well, I mean, he I saw like him against who was the guy, the edge rusher from Penn State? I forget his name.
Oh, Abdul Carter.
I mean, he was. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't manhandling him, but he was. I mean, he was playing. He was pass protecting against him pretty well in some of the clips that I saw, and some of the other. And Adam Peterson talked about this. That's a GM for the Washington Commanders. He said, "Look, our R&D team. A lot of the clips we saw against some of the top elite pass rushers in college this year. I mean, he was handling his own." So I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That pick makes sense because you want to protect Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it's, listen, I love the pick. Like I said, I was hoping that he was going to fall to the second round because I was really hoping that Will Campbell, that the Patriots drafted last night, he was going to fall to 10. And it'd be like, okay, now their offensive line is pretty much, intact, at least for a couple of years. But then it's like, oh my God, everybody's like Ashton Genty, and I'm like, no, I don't want them to pick him up. That's not the guy, because this year it's loaded between, I think it's defensive tackles, tight ends, and running backs is loaded. I mean, you can get really good guys in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round this year that are really good. The guy from Miami, Damian Martinez. I can't think of the guy that SMU was running. He used to play wide receiver for Miami, but then he went to SMU to be a running back, but he was really good. RG Harvey from, I think it's Central Florida. But I don't know why the Bears picked Luther Burden. I mean, for Christ's sake, man, I think they picked up 4 or 5 receivers just in free agency, and then you're picking up another one in the draft. What the hell are you doing? You need defensive tackles and edge rushers and even offensive linemen. What the hell are you doing? I hope B Money shows up here because I want to pick his brain about it.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, I don't really follow the Bears. I'm not really. I mean, I thought last year they were okay on defense, if I'm not mistaken.
They were horrible.
Oh, were they? Okay, never mind.
They were horrible. You guys literally broke their back with that Hail Mary because some dumbass was sitting there and flaunting when he should have been covering the guy that caught the ball. Tariq Stevens should have been covering your receiver, but it was more important saying, we just beat you. But no. And that just broke their backs. And then their 2 defensive tackles, I think it's Pickens and Javon Jr., they just didn't have the seasons that they wanted. But yeah, we'll see what happens this year. I'm hoping for at least maybe 1 or 2 more wins.
Well, I mean, I think you guys have some pieces there, though. I mean, clearly, I think at the most important position with Caleb Williams, I mean, you guys have, a good good, probably a QB that's going to have a good future in the league. I think.
I'm hoping and praying because the Bears have probably since Jim McMahon.
Wait,
Jay Cutler.
By the way, B Money just tweeted he likes the Luther Burden pick at number 39. He says Caleb gets another weapon.
Yeah, but then what are you going to do about your defense? I mean, listen, they did trade pick 41 to Buffalo, and I just saw Courtney Cronin. Chicago traded 41-72 in the third round and a seventh round, and they get Buffalo's 56, 62, and 109, which was originally Chicago's fourth round pick. So I'm hoping they do something with defense here because they really need. I don't understand the pick. I don't. But if B Money does show up here, I'm going to pick his brain for a minute or two. So sorry, BRAP.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's it's that time of year, NFL draft.
Yeah.
Let me get a Nate in here. NFL draft. I'm watching my Washington Capitals right now.
Oh, how
play
they
against they're it's tied right now 1-1. 17 minutes 12 seconds left in the second period. The second period just started. Caps are up 2-0 in the series, the best of 7. So
you're playing the Canadians?
Yeah, they're playing the Canadians.
Okay.
On that note, I want to welcome Nate. What's going on, Nate?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Not much, man. Not much. We're just talking a little NFL draft and little sports before we get into some of the gaming stuff.
Oh yeah. I know how you get with your Washington guys. I heard you say Washington Capitals. Did their name change again?
No, that's the hockey team.
Oh, the hockey team. Okay, I was just making sure.
No, the football team has not changed their name. The Caps, okay. Matter of fact, the Caps are celebrating their 50th anniversary as a team, and so they're in the playoffs right now. And I'm actually, so that's why I'm not on camera, because if I was on camera, I wouldn't be staring at the camera. The head would be tilted with my microphone face towards the TV, so I could actually talk and watch the game at the same time. So you know what? That's going to be kind of rude to the viewers if I'm doing that. So you can't see me doing it, but I'm doing it anyway. But at least you can't see me doing it. So
yeah,
I might need to go off the camera then, because I got to keep turning around to see what the hell's going on.
No worries. Also want to welcome the show Game Logic, who still has the Jensen profile pic there. What's going on, Logic?
NVIDIA is for the payers.
NVIDIA is for the payers. I tell you, GPUs are getting expensive, man. I might get priced out here in a little bit. I don't know. I was hoping. Said this to you earlier. I was hoping that I'd get a upgrade my PC later this year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I can't even get a Switch 2 right now. The pre-orders are sold out. So, but welcome to the show, Logic, and a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Please do me a favor, smash that like button, share the link on your favorite social media platform, whether it's X, Facebook, I don't know, anywhere else, Thread. Let everyone know we're live and just drop a link here in the live chat. So, but yeah, how about those? I'm sorry, give me a second here. We'll distract here by the Caps game. How about those Switch 2 pre-orders? Sold out at most retailers, including GameStop, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and others. GameStop was actually down. The site was down for a little bit for those who are trying to pre-order. But yeah, sold out. I mean, unfortunately, I could not get my hands on a Nintendo Switch 2. The stores already sold out when they opened. They were sold like within 30 minutes, I think, of the allotment of pre-orders that they got. And then everywhere online was sold out. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to wait. Hopefully, the price doesn't increase because of something called tariffs. So fingers crossed there, and we'll see. But anyone on the panel luck out and get a Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order?
Yeah, I did. I got one when Best Buy went live. I ended up getting it there. I technically had it at Target, but Priscilla's card blocked the charge, and I could never get it to go back through again on Target. So, um, I ended up getting it at Best Buy. But the funny thing is, the next day when GameStop opened for their pre-orders in store, I actually needed to go up there anyway to pick up my Lumiere edition of Expedition 33. And so I casually rolled in at like 2 p.m. and thinking like, oh, the line's going to be over because, they're definitely going to be sold out by now. So there was still a line. I could have pre-ordered either version and still walked out of there at 2 p.m. just chilling, like with zero intent to actually get one there. So yeah, that was interesting compared to some other stories. Like you said, the stores were sold out by you and everything, but like the one near me got like over 130 switches. They
Wow.
they had a ton. Yeah, they had
Yeah,
like 65 of each or something.
Oh my god. Yeah, mine only had like 20 something, high 20s, I think. I don't remember the exact number, but it wasn't like it was probably almost like maybe the same allotment of like PS5s. I remember when I pre-ordered the PS5.
Yeah,
So,
the PS5s was like that. When I went to get my PS5 there, like the two people behind me were the last two, like immediately. And I went like the moment I heard that it was live. And that was before, when they went live on accident, like they went live before they were supposed to. And I happened to follow the guy on Twitter who went to GameStop and posted his receipt that he pre-ordered it. And I like the moment I got out of work, I like bolted out of here. Like Priscilla was actually supposed to go with me, but she was asleep. And I told her, she thought I was playing. I was like, I will leave you, like if you are not ready when I get ready to get out of here. I grabbed the keys and she was like, wait. And that's all I heard. And I was gone. And it's a good thing I did because I would have missed it if I didn't. But yeah, for some reason, they had a ton. The only thing I could think of is the store that's nearest me or second nearest store to me apparently closed. So I'm assuming if they would have gotten an allotment for them, that they basically just pushed it all to this store, which is why they had so many. Because I was shocked that people were just casually walking in and still ordering them. Like I thought it would have been over. But yeah, they had a ton.
yeah, that's actually interesting that they may have to your point, they may have allotted for that store closure, right? And maybe consolidate some of that inventory, maybe. But yeah, that's a lot. What is it?
It is a lot.
You said 100 and what?
130. They had 65 of each.
Yeah. How long was the line?
It took me like 10 minutes. Probably it was like how many people were in front of me? Like eight. Like eight people were in front of me. And then I had five people behind me by the time I was up there getting my game copy. So people were still coming in. I mean, it was steady. Like you could tell they were way busier than normal. But like there wasn't like a line out the door or anything. Like the crazy thing is like the guy that works there said that he was in the line at 1 a.m. to order his own Switch and then went home, slept, and came back. And I was like, I know he just felt some type of way because he could have just been asleep and just casually came into work and ordered one. But yeah, apparently they did have like a decent line, but it just wasn't a lot of people in comparison. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember when I pre-ordered the Nintendo Switch many, many years ago, it seems like now, we had to get there early. I think I was there like 6 o'clock in the morning. Just to
yeah,
pre-order.
that sounds about right.
It was insane, but yeah, it was that's
Well, the Switch is a funny one too for me because we weren't gonna get one, and then I was like, we were at her mom's house, and I was like, should we get one? And I was like, I'll go to Best Buy and see because that's back when they were doing a midnight launch, and I just rolled up. The line was mad long, but I was like, you know what, whatever. I'll just get out and see what happens. So they come out, they counted everybody, and they were like, all right, cool, we got enough Switches for everybody. Let's go. And like walked everybody in the store. And that was it. Like it was, I just walked in like launch night and just bought one. It was
Oh
wild.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's yeah. So let me ask you, because I was under the impression you were not going to get a Switch 2, right? Or were you
So
going to get a Switch 2?
so what I explain to people is I'm not. Priscilla bought it, not me. Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
she wanted one. I was
So
like,
Priscilla
I'll
wanted it.
wait.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because honestly, there's nothing on it that's compelling enough for me to personally purchase it right now. But I mean, we only ever need one device in the house anyway, because neither one of us play Switch enough to garner that. So you know me, I'm waiting on Fire Emblem because that's either Fire Emblem or another Xeno game. Like that's all they really make that I really like anymore. So
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, go ahead,
Nate,
Ted.
help walk me through, right? Because I feel like this is a discussion we need to have. You
mhm.
were, in my impression, unless I misread the comment, you seemed feel like you felt a certain kind of way when we initially talked about the pricing for the Switch,
Yeah.
indicating that you wish you had been part of the conversation or had been in the chat at least early and felt that we were giving Nintendo a pass for the prices.
Mhm.
So just help me explain how you were there a few weeks ago to making the purchase of the pre-order now, and I understand you're saying it was on behalf of Priscilla,
Yeah.
but I still want to kind of have that conversation, and I also kind of want to understand how do you separate any notion of like irritation at the company for the prices it sets from the people who pay the price, which is what enables them to set the price that they set.
I mean, I mean, when you've been doing it as long as we have, for one, like initial, like I can't. I'm never frustrated at the people. Right? People. This is a discussion y'all get into a lot on the show, but it's a lot of people out there with way more bread than me, where the prices of the Switch and all that stuff is literally completely negligible. Like, so like I'm never really frustrated at that just because I'm very much aware of the level of expendable income a lot of people have, and it's literally nothing. Like it's it's the dollar menu for some people out here. So they were gonna shell out regardless. Um, it was during the discussion that y'all were having, and that my main thing with people in general is when I say that the past, like you explained that you were having the discussion about just the logistics of it, not necessarily whether or not you were giving them a pass or not. A lot of people, at least social media and Nintendo people, are just like, I don't care what they charge, I'm just going to pay whatever. That personally does frustrate me, right? um like, just because I think that sets a bad precedent for them. But at the same time, there's a lot of other information that came out that people afterwards. What I don't like is what people were saying, not necessarily what happened. Because as we know right now, the main game that's $80 is, the Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not 90 either. So that was another thing that came out. It's 90 in some regions that I probably will never even visit. I don't even know where it's $90. It was saying in some regions. So the majority is 80. Then most of the other titles are 70 or below. Again, I'm still not a fan of some of the stuff, but again, this is something that I understand the notion with Nintendo. Their prices don't come down, and they're gonna charge what they're gonna charge. So like, I'm not a fan of the other stuff going on with the Zelda, where they're charging the price on top, and it also doesn't come with the DLC. Like, it's very little nuanced things that they do that it's like real, like you really couldn't just include the DLC and you're having someone purchase, Tears of the Kingdom or whatever, or Breath of the Wild, and it doesn't include the DLC, but you're charging $70. Like, that type of stuff always still frustrates me, but I'm also not purchasing those games, right? Like, I have the originals for all those games. So Priscilla's interest in Zelda is basically what, she's going to get the upgrade and be done with it. But yeah, I still have gripes with it and the conversation about how they handle some of the stuff that they did. I wasn't a fan of the comment, basically, from Doug. I mean, because Doug basically said what was my concern, was like, well, we're going to just evaluate and charge whatever we think. But, it sounded bad because of the way he said it. But I mean, I am a very big fan of variable pricing, right? I've said this before, that variable pricing needs to be a really big thing, because the market is definitely not one size fits all. The fact that Bravely Default, probably the only launch title that the remaster, probably the only launch title I'm really actually interested in that I'd actually play and complete, it's like $40. So some stuff I love what they're doing, and some stuff I still hate it. So I'm kind of balanced there, but I also realize at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop these people from getting it. And I don't want to stop anybody. Like, I think the device, right? And this is my opinion with the device, I think is really great from what I've seen so far. I find some of the stuff odd, like no VRR while it's docked or whatever is super weird, or no, like, little nuances like that in the details that we've gotten so far. I'm also not a fan of the not on the cart, the downloadable stuff that they're doing with the carts. Like, I get it just doesn't fit for some of them, and then some of them it's a choice. So it's complex, is what I'll say. Is like, but I'm not at odds with people. It's just the people I'm at odds with still are like people like the ridiculous Nintendo God account that you seen going around. I'm sure everybody has seen that stupid account at this point, but where it's just like, I don't care what they do. I'd pay $700. I'll pay $800. But they're the greatest company that ever lived. They're gonna run over everybody. I don't care what they do. I'm day one, no matter what. Like, that type of mentality is terrible to me, because none of these companies get that from me. So that it's more so a frustration with the fandom, and willing to accept whatever versus what's actually happening. So yeah, is that answer?
So is it safe to say, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, I'm trying to do a little feedback to make sure I understand what I'm hearing before I move on to the next question. So it sounds like there was a certain degree of sticker shock in the initial announcements, combined with what was admittedly kind of, I don't know, because I'm still reflecting on the whole thing. I don't know if I'm ready to say entirely poor messaging, but I will definitely say, I mean, part of my root cause analysis has been this has been a thing that Nintendo has tried to pull off that is not in their wheelhouse. They normally, when they do a product introduction, don't need to do Spec-a-Palooza, right, and sell people on like the advances in technology, right? It's just it's like, this is the box. It's it uses this kind of storage. Okay, and that's it. Here are the games, right? Like, they've never had to do this technobabble speak of VRR, and I mean, they didn't even get into the stuff that Digital Foundry talked about later, like LFC and so on and so forth. So I mean, I don't give them high marks, but what I do say is, yeah, they're now in a certain end of the pool, and they're going to need to learn how to talk the talk, or figure that out, right? Or have NVIDIA, right, be a partner in the presentation, right, and have them cover that stuff. So whatever, but it sounds like part of the disposition at the time when we had the first conversation is there was some sticker shock and some frustration, and maybe that is what kind of got voiced, right, in maybe what came across as sounding like it was irritation or frustration at us, but more so just contending with. And I would also then say, like a lot of us, I think, with now the 3 weeks of this thing to unfold, where there have been some things revealed that make certain things that, right, we may have been irritated at the beginning less of a point of irritation, and then some other things that have been like, why the hell are they doing that? But also just, and then also maybe a little gas being let out of the bag, where there was a momentary concern that things were going to get even worse because of the tariffs.
That was a big thing.
Right. And then determining that, okay, well, whatever it is that they did behind the scenes, they determined that wasn't going to impact people who were trying to buy it. So it's, at least it's not any worse. And now and now the overall kind of feeling or sense of the thing is maybe less acute than it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, basically, like you said, it's just some stuff has kind of calmed down. And it's like, okay, now we got the real facts. And again, poor messaging. Like you said, a lot of stuff had to be corrected after their initial reveal. For a while, people, especially the whole cart thing, the downloadable carts, like, oh, it's going to be 4 games. Oh, it's only going to be these 6 games. Oh, it's only going to be like, it was like, just wait till they just put them out and then you'll just see. So yeah, that was definitely a big frustration. There's just a lot of confusion with that. And then, like you said, the pause on the tariffs and all that stuff and discussions with Vietnam and all that stuff, brought all that back to the table where they weren't going to like destroy us on pricing. They did adjust the accessory prices, which were already astronomically high anyway. So I am personally going to hold off on a Pro 2 controller because I honestly don't even need one. I'm not even like, I'm excited for the back buttons because that was something that's a big gripe for me as someone who uses an Edge controller. I really need my back buttons, but I also don't need an $85, $90 controller for the probably 5 Nintendo Switch games that I'm interested in the next 3 years. So yeah, it was definitely an initial point of contention for a lot of stuff. So yeah, you were spot on in your analysis.
Okay, and then I do want to ask, like, so my personal feeling too is that while there was a lot of shade thrown at Nintendo, and arguably, at least to a certain extent, deservedly so. But some of that was also they just happened to be the company on the hot seat right at the time because they were doing the product introduction. Obviously, in days hence, then PlayStation raised prices in certain regions. Like I said, Xbox had their moment where they released something like Redfall, and then a few months later raised prices on Game Pass, stuff behind the paywall. So so part of my perspective too, and I just want to kind of ask, right? And I'm jokingly using Jensen's avatar, which I didn't just put on for tonight. I've been wearing that skin for a few weeks now. But like, we obviously have the thing of Nvidia where I don't know many people who bought 4090s at MSRP, right? Like they, and 4090s are still going for over MSRP because you can't buy 5,000s. So the prices on 4,000s and even 3,000s have been jacked up.
It's wild.
And in the past, where over the past 2 generations, I, who had historically been an XX70 class GPU buyer, stepped up my game to XX80 class GPUs, which I was paying $1,000 for. Now $1,000 buys me a 5070 Ti, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
And that's if I shop, right? Right? Because if you grab the easy ones, they're trying to do 1,200 and 1,300, and then the 5080s at like 15. So I think part of my optic that I also have been trying to put on this is like, I know Nintendo's in the hot seat, but there needs to be a gamer recognition that this is going on everywhere. Like, it's not just them. And
yeah, right, I agree.
And PlayStation doing a $700 PlayStation 5 Pro absolutely played into the price setting mentality of Nintendo, right? And what they were going to try and do. I think in particular in the handheld market, like hyper specifically,
I was just about to say that logic.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say is like, look, the Switch 2 is a better piece of hardware than the Switch, obviously, and that's and a lot of people are using the value system of running the comparison of the Switch 2 versus the PlayStation 5, the Xbox. The Xbox guys are trying to do the Series S, and I'm like, so number one, you're completely and entirely not you, but like the other people doing this, they're completely discounting the notion of portability and the value that provides to people. Like, this is a dual purpose console, right? It goes, relatively easily, right? With no muss, no fuss. Like in the past, when there have been devices that have tried to do this, you've had to reboot or restart or do some type of like user offensive, like disruptive manner of like switching modes. You pull this thing in and out of the cradle, right? And it auto switches. But the other thing, that I've tried to convey to people is like, understand that part of the pricing exercise is competitive price analysis, right? CPA. And in that, what companies do is we look at what other people are pricing in the market for similar to devices, and we say, you know, what should not what should we charge, but what can we charge, right? And when you look at the handheld space, it's like things are coming out that are $650 to $900, right? People keep going, oh, we'll just buy a Steam Deck. And I'm like, okay, that $400 Steam Deck entry SKU that you guys keep pointing at as like being priced lower than the Switch 2 actually has lesser specs, right? Yay, verily, it grants you access to like your whole Steam library, and that's absolutely a value. But like the calculus isn't as simple as this thing is $50 less, so it's a slam dunk that it's better. And
I 100% agree with that. That's been a false narrative, and I've been thankful for you for pointing that out for a long time, because a lot of people who are really big Steam Deck fans have said that forever, and I'm like, that's not going to get you access, you know, entirely, and nor is that nearly enough space. Like, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's like I think that's like a 256 gigabyte unit or something.
Yeah, it's super small.
And then on top of that, like, you know, you keep going back to how the value props change per demographic. Like, look, but what a Nintendo like, understand that the person you're trying to talk to, like, you're not talking to a true multi-platform person, because a true multi-platform person is going to make their choices and say, do I need a Nintendo Switch? And maybe they're going to compare it against the others. But the person who's like a Nintendo fan, when you say you should just buy that Steam Deck for $399, they're going to say, yeah, but the huge problem with that Steam Deck is it doesn't play Mario Kart World, and it's not getting the next Legend of Zelda.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, you know, we keep trying to overlay these uncommon value systems, right, over products and product areas where they're not applicable. So okay, it sounds like we're on the same page on that. So that's just the thing. Like, I know we got a little heated, maybe things got a little awkward. I wanted to hash that out and just make sure, you know, we weren't worlds apart. And I totally get it. Like, look, there's moments in time where I'm like, man, that pricing's egregious. Like, what's going on with that? You know, and then after weeks or months or something, you know, I calm down, you know, and then you know, and also, like we've said on the show, like, Nintendo's good, like, Nintendo has done this before, right? They put the 3DS out at $250 and nobody bought it, and then they promptly in 6 months slash the price by a third, you know, to take it down to $170. So, you know, Nintendo will look at this. They'll make determinations about, you know, what's going on. I would say all indications are right now, you know, as you know, they have 2.2 million people in Japan signed up to buy the thing, and they're telling the people in Japan now, there's no way we're going to meet your demand. Like, if 2.2 million of you guys actually want this console, we're not going to get it to you. So it appears like demand is. I mean, I would even say, going back a couple weeks ago, where I said my guess, you know, my poker chip that I want to put down is that this thing is going to sell north of 100 million units, right into the 115s, you know, 115 to 120 over its 7-year life cycle. And I don't know if I've put in a low bid, you know. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think you're pretty much on point. Like I said, my thing is I just don't see it doing the 150. But largely that totally agree. Depends on the games they offer, right? Like, don't get me wrong, like, there are a gung-ho amount of people out here that are like, give me Mario 67 and Donkey Kong 93 and Zelda 48, like all day long. But
I like how you put the numbers 48, 93, 67.
Like, I mean, they're just gonna keep making them, right? And a lot of people are happy about that, right? Like, it's not personally for me, you know, in a lot of those regards. So I think more people take a step back. Like, one of the big things people have talked about, right? And the portability is a big factor, right? So I like that, you know, you brought that up, right? Because I see I can't do it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sorry, I'm too spec driven. I am a graphics whore. I will tell you that all day long. It's graphics and performance. So I'm not doing that. But the big thing everybody talks about is the third party support, you know, at least for a little while, because, you know, they're going to get knocked out of this again very shortly for a lot of games. But, you know, the third party support is bumped up and ready to go crazy. You know, a lot of people are ready to play the worst version of a lot of games. Not me, but I get it. You know, a lot of people just love that portability factor. I'm interested to see how long that novelty lasts and how long it, you know, what it brings them to sales wise. But yeah, I think first year sales are going to be probably crazy. There's literally no other new tech. I think a lot of people also ran out to get this just in case, like the price goes up later, because the world economy is looking really fun right now. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting times to see what they do. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the only thing I hope from Nintendo that we get is games that I'm interested in, because at the end of the day, man, that's all it's about.
Yeah, real quick to your point, Nate. My company has some analysis on that. What you described as people going out and buying things and in anticipation of potential of tariffs potentially increasing the price of goods or products, right?
Yeah.
That's actually a thing that's really happening, and actually,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh, we just hold on, Forte was just in here, and that could very well be the case here. I want to just welcome Forte quickly. Forte, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. What is up?
Are you at work, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. So Forte, real quick, because I don't know how much time we have, or you have to give us tonight, but because I know you're
Oh,
at
I'm
work,
trying
so
to
really
go home
appreciate
in
it.
30 minutes, so
Okay. Oh,
15.
there he is. He's live for the start. So Forte, real quick, man. What
Yeah.
was the consumer reaction to the Nintendo Switch 2? Did you sell out pre-orders? How many pre-orders did you get? How crazy was it? Were people jumping over your counter? Were people trying to bribe you with the $100 bill in their
Nah,
backhand? What happened?
nah, man. It was great. I had a customer, a friend that was he got up here like 6 o'clock in the morning and was like, yeah, you got like 12 people in line at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, that's not that bad. Then I said, I'll be up there about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, because we ain't open till 12. And then he texted me again at like 9 o'clock, was like, man, you got 37 people. I was like, oh, Lord, okay. I'll be up there probably a little earlier. He had text me 20 minutes later. Man, you got like 80 something people outside. Wait, I was like, oh no, I don't even got that many systems.
How many systems did you get in?
My store, we had 75.
Okay.
So Forte, I'm gonna make a comment
Mine
and ask
only
a
had like
question.
25 or something, but yeah, go ahead.
And
You said what?
Mine had like 25.
Well, like here, we have a lot of stores in our surrounding area. So like within my store, there's like maybe 8 GameStops within 30 minutes of my store. So we have a lot clustered. So pretty much they got dispersed really evenly
Okay.
across our district and stuff. There were some stores that got well north of like 200. Those are like ridiculously busy, like $2 million stores and stuff that are in malls. So that was kind of crazy, but no, I ended up coming into work. I want to say about 9:30, so 2.5 hours before we opened, and started like talking to the people in the line, letting them know how it was going to be. Saying, telling them about whatever promotions they could do. Like if you're trying to trade some stuff in, you're gonna be. I said you'll have your place in line, but you got to wait till you get to the end because we're trying to get through this line. It went really cool. Everybody was pretty cool in the store. No issues whatsoever.
so Forte,
Um,
that's what I want to ask. I want to ask what was the vibe? Because here's what I would contend. I've only waited physically in line for one gaming device ever, and that was the Nintendo Wii.
right.
And
Yeah,
I
Hamp,
won't
you,
go.
you truly live up to the name. Hamp doesn't work.
And so I won't tell the whole story, but it's a great that one experience that I had is a great story. And what I learned from then and what I'm hearing now is that Nintendo fans are just built different.
But they
Like
always, yeah, they've
when
always been built different.
when Xbox and PlayStation people are just represent just a demographic that is just miserable being on the internet,
Right.
right? And are purport that they love gaming, but are just constantly being toxic. What I'm hearing from like this whole pre-order thing is that like so many Nintendo fans like bought more than one Switch, and their intention is I bought more than one Switch so that I could keep them away from scalpers, so that my friends who are trying to get them and family members who want them, I'm going to give them that, or even just if I know another gamer, I'm gonna, they can buy it off me right at cost. Like I'm not trying to make profit. I'm not trying to put it on eBay. And so I kind of wanted to hear like what was the vibe like in the line and at the store from like the Nintendo fans, and
That's
both
actually
in the store and what you've heard
that was actually
online.
pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool because I know the night before I was up with, shout out to Lord Cognito and Lord Addict. I was on the phone with them at 12 o'clock because Cog and King and Addict still didn't have one. So we were like trying to do the websites and stuff, and Best Buy, Target and everything, trying to get them that way. With no joy. They ended up getting theirs at their local GameStops and stuff due to the fact that their stores had a lot of them, so they was able to get up there and get them. But when it comes to like just the overall vibe of it, it was pretty cool. Like I said, everybody kind of understood what was going on. We told her, and this is the thing, we told everybody was like, listen, everything is limited. It's like, I mean, when I tell you limited, games are limited, accessories are limited. The days of you just pre-ordering until you don't want to pre-order no more, those are kind of gone. Like we only had X amount of copies of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild for the Switch. Um, and like memory cards and pro controllers, that stuff was all limited. So we was telling people, and the cool thing that I realized today is people were coming back into the store because they was like it was super busy yesterday. Some people said they were going to trade their systems in yesterday, but they saw how busy we were. They said, you know what, we'll just bring them back tomorrow because the promotion that they were using doesn't expire to the 30th. So people were coming today talking about how they got W's for their friends that couldn't get them. They was like, yeah, man, when I left here, I was able to head over to like Walmart or Target or get on the website and they had a restock. And I got one for my friend or I got one for my cousin. My niece and my nephew wanted one. So I was able to get one that way. But yeah, because we limited it to one per person per account at here, so you can only get one of each one period of any item. And everybody was super cool with that because they was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Everybody's gonna basically get what they want to get, for the most part. And like when I tell you there were people that lined up at 6 a.m. at the earliest, we weren't done until about with everybody till about 2:30 because it was like a lot. Like we're talking to everybody about warranties, pre-orders, and everything like that. And nobody had an attitude. People were just standing in line. I also let people come into the store because we didn't open till 12. It was hot here in Michigan too. It was burning hot. So people was like standing outside, and I was like, man, my store is big enough. As you can see, like Terry, you see how wide, how far the store goes up. I just had everybody. I had like 100 people in the store just lined up against the wall so they could be in the air, and that kind of helped with people's attitudes and stuff. But when we started ringing up, people just got excited. Was like, yeah, I want to get everything I can get for the system. So we had a really good day, and pretty much everybody in our area had a really good day. And it just sucks that the a lot of people that wanted it still couldn't get it because we're still getting phone calls today asking if we're still doing them, and we told people no. We kind of ran out, but and we don't know when a restock's going to happen. If there's going to be a restock before the release, which it probably most likely won't be. It probably will be something that won't be happening until probably like either midsummer, if not the fall. And God believe it might happen, not happen to the holiday. So, anybody that kind of got one now is kind of going to be initiated it by fire, and they're going to be able to enjoy their systems and stuff like that. But I wish a lot more people were able to get them, but man, no issues whatsoever. People were just super cool, super laid back. If we ran out of something, they were good with it. Say, yeah, I could get it later. It wasn't no bickering. I'll give you one story. I have a customer that came into the store. He was like the last person, like before I give out the last number that I had. And he asked if I still had some. And I was like, oh no. I said, how you gonna walk in here at 11:50, 10 minutes before I open and think that I'm still gonna have one? And he was like, man, my fault. He said I had to take my kid to school. I was like, blah, blah, blah. And I had like, I hadn't pre-ordered mine yet. And I was like, oh man, and he's like a really good dude because he like pre-orders like a lot. Like he had a lot of Switch games already pre-ordered. He was going to pre-order everything for his system. So I called another store and was like, hey, do you guys still have some? And I ended up, they said they had one. So I said, okay, I'm about to literally Venmo you the money for my system right now so you can pre it over there because I'm about to give mine to a customer here. And like when I tell you that dude was so happy, it was like unbelievable. Like he dang near cried when he walked out the door just because, you know, people don't normally do stuff like that. We live in a world where getting Pokemon cards, you get punched in the face, you know, but people, you know, just genuinely was like super, super happy with just the experience. And I was talking to other managers about their experiences. It was like, you know, if you ever been through a console launch before, those are like the funnest times you can have in gaming, you know, being able to like be happy about a new release. Everybody's super excited about it. But then, you know, it comes with the fall off that is super exhausting. Like my whole body hurt after yesterday. I was pretty much toast. You know, I did the podcast. I mean, you probably saw the message I put on there when I was like, you know, tired as but the show must go on. I wasn't joking. It was bad yesterday, but it was all worth it because customers made it worth it. Just the overall vibe made it worth it. And if it was like that for just pre-orders, can you imagine what it's going to be like when people pick up their systems on the 5th? It's going to be crazy.
Hey, so Forte, let me ask you a quick question. Are they like, are you guys gonna get any additional switches, Switch 2s,
No idea.
like launch day, like for people who
No
didn't pre-order?
idea. No
Oh, so they haven't
idea.
said anything to you guys, then wow.
What I mean, like I said, like I said, it's just me. I'm just operating off the fact that it's a good chance, probably not with the way that they limited the amount that they did. But
Mhm.
anything can happen. You know, I've been telling people just follow social media for Nintendo. If they announce that there's going to be more, it's the thing is, it's not going to probably be a thing where just one retailer is going to restock. It's going to be something where everybody's going to do it, and Nintendo's probably going to announce something for restocks on them for pre-orders. But at this point, I'm just operating under the assumption for myself that it's a good chance that what we pre-order is what we're going to have on the day that it comes out, and I don't think there's going to probably be any extras. I think I do know like Joy Cons and certain things like that. Not yeah, Joy Cons will be available day one because they didn't do pre-orders on those. That was something that Nintendo said they were going to have day one for people. So nobody could pre-order extra Joy Cons. But outside of that, I don't know if there's going to be anything else available. But you know, follow Nintendo on all their socials, and you'll you'll get a chance to try to at least know. Follow Wario 64. You know he got all the goods when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
the other thing to keep in mind is pre-orders are not over. The
Yeah, some
Nintendo,
seasons are still
yeah,
doing them.
well, not just that, but the Nintendo invites haven't gone out yet. So
Yeah.
if you play your Switch, and you've got, I think it was like 50 hours, you need at least 50 hours in a Switch Online account, and you applied, then you may get called up for a preferential order from Nintendo Direct as well.
So basically, what you
So
mean is people wasn't out here frauding and said they like they Switch, and then Nintendo was like, you don't really play your Switch. You
exactly.
don't play your Switch. You ain't even got 50 hours, bro. You can fall over and get 50 hours on a Switch.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Nintendo doing what PlayStation should have done, for their anniversary console.
Oh, well, yeah, true.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Those are cool stories to hear, Forte. About the pre-orders and everything.
We
Like
had
I
a
said,
lot
for
of
me,
pre-orders, bro. It was
yeah,
crazy.
like GameStop on their website, just I was looking, they're like you could they're telling people go to your store to pre-order or something. Let me pull up the website again.
Yeah, they ended it around 6 o'clock today. So stores that didn't pre-order, because like I said, some stores had a lot. So those stores basically, I think, got up to like 6 o'clock, and then it was kind of over after that for everybody today.
Okay.
I was shocked. I was shocked that they still had them at 2 p.m. Like I expected to walk in with no line. Like I was so shocked, but it was the same for me when I went in. The vibe, like you said, was just real good. Everybody was chilling. It was, I mean, it was just cool. Like people were just excited to get their systems. So
Yeah,
Yeah, Forte. This
yeah.
is what the site says. Don't miss out on Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart World Bundle. Pre-order in stores now. That's what the
Oh,
website's
wait.
saying.
Well, listen. If the web, you know what? That might be East Coast. I mean, West Coast still because it's not.
Okay.
Well, it is almost 6 o'clock. Not at 6 o'clock there. You know, you could try make it out to your store and see if they're still doing them. I mean, that's all you
Yeah,
can
I don't
kind of do.
know. Yeah.
I listen. The first thing I'm gonna tell you is, as much as I'm kind of sad that everybody didn't get a chance to get one. I am very excited to say that I've been able. I have been able to tell people like, man, we've been out since 1 o'clock yesterday. So my job has been easier because I swear for like probably for like a good 3 hours yesterday after we sold out, I just kept calling other stores and like saying, "Hey, do you guys still have some? Do you still got some?" And I was sending people to like 5 or 6 different stores to try to get them. And some customers said they got W's on it. I was like, "Oh, that's what's up. You still was able to get one." I mean that's the nature of our area, with so many stores so close to each other. People were able to go from one store to another and catch them like at the very end. Like one store that I was sending people to, she said they didn't run out till almost like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, dang, y'all must have had a lot of them because we were out at 2. So but yeah, it was really, really cool. I was very excited. I actually woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning because it's like those pregame jitters and stuff, on top of the fact of just being excited and ready to like just talk to people about something that you really, really like and care about. That's really what it comes down to. But the real interesting thing is I had so many people that was trading in like Xbox Series X's and PS5s. Like today I had 3 people trade in like Xbox Series. No, one person traded in the Series X, 3 people traded in a PS5, and a couple of people traded in their OLEDs to go towards their Switch pre-order. And let me tell you, man, these promotions that they giving right now are W's for trade-ins. Like you're getting like almost $400 for a PS5 if you put it towards a Switch. You're getting close to almost $200 if you do an OLED. And you're getting $550 if you're doing a Series X with the pre-order, and like if you pre-order like a game like Donkey Kong or something. So I'm like, I was very tempted to trade in my Series X. I was like, bro, Xbox got all their games on PC. Do I really need this thing anymore? I was like, that's $550. That pay for my OLED, my Switch 2 almost. So it's really crazy, and watching all of this stuff come together and everything, and people taking advantage of stuff that's in front of them and getting the things that they want.
Yeah, there's some nice trading values, man, or
Yeah,
trading deals.
it's wild, bro. It's wild. If you're thinking of like, I know it's hard to like part with your systems and stuff, but if you if you want top dollar to go towards a Switch 2, if you're getting one, this is the best time to do it. They'll have other promotions in the future. There's more places than just GameStop to do that, of course, but just make sure you shop around and find the best deal for you. I just know our deal is pretty crazy to the point where it almost got me thinking about doing it with a Series X. And because I mean that's only losing $50 off of what I paid for it at this point. And if I really want another one, I can just go get another one. But yeah, just move wisely, make good investments. Don't go broke out here trying to buy a Nintendo Switch. Because I will say that these accessories are crazy in price. We didn't do pre-orders on Joy-Cons, but I was looking. I don't know if they're gonna do like the bundle where they do one or two, like two in a box. All I saw were the single ones on different websites, and they were going for $54.99 each. And that's if you have to buy a pair, that's the $110, which is $30 more than the last set of Joy-Cons cost together. So um Nintendo is definitely going to be on the come up when it comes up to revenue and not losing no money when it comes to this system release, in which Nintendo fans are willing to support them, and that's all that really truly matters in the end.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. Doomsayer, I want to go to you, sir. Did you get a Nintendo Switch too? Any interest? If you didn't,
No interest whatsoever. I'll put it to you this way: if you are interested, Wise contacted me. I think it was yesterday, and he had like 2 or 3. Somebody was in his chat was wanted to give it up or something like that. So I mean, if you're interested in one, you might want to contact him and find out if he has one still, because he called up and he's like, "Do you want one?" I'm like, "No." I says, "Next generation, I'll be a one console person. There won't be a Switch or or Xbox or anything like that.
So
You'll be yeah, go ahead.
talk me through that perspective, because I've been talking to lots of people about that, and one of the things I've contended is as all these prices rise, lots of us who are inside the veil, right, who are in this content creation circle and ring, that I don't think there's going to be the bravado that there's been for the last 2 generations, right? That, oh, well, I've got all the systems, like I play everything. I'm like, I mean, I'm arguably very well off, right? Myself personally. I don't intend or believe that I'm going to have all of the systems next generation. Like, I don't have all of them now. I've gotten rid of all my consoles to game on PC only. I think it's going to become cost prohibitive to have to have all of the systems simply for the bragging rights and the clout in the content creation circle of having all of them, except for like people who are really on the high end of monetization. So for you as a lifelong gamer, and partially right in the content creation ring too, like what is the calculus that you're processing where you're saying you're going to be a 1 console person next gen?
I'll put it to you this way, and I don't mean to like piss anybody off in the chat or anything like that if you're an Xbox person or whatever, but I sit there and I see people say about value, and they constantly keep bringing that up. To me, as of right now, and I guess the way it's just going to keep going, is PlayStation will have the best value. If you sit there and you look at it, whether it's a $700 or an $800 console, it is what it is. But when how can I? Okay, Microsoft. When people sit there and say Microsoft is pro-consumer, I look at it and I sit there and I say Microsoft is one of the most pro-consumer places ever, because they're allowing me to get rid of their stuff and just go out, purchase 1 console, and now I can sit there and I don't have to purchase an Xbox anymore to play their games on their console. They're putting their stuff onto PlayStation, so I just had to buy a PlayStation, and that's it. I'll be getting the Xbox games along with the PlayStation games and everything. So it's cheaper for me. That's the way I'm looking at it. It's like people sit there and they ask, "Oh, did you play this? Did you play this new game? This new game?" I do not play. I hardly ever buy brand new games. Because 1, I don't think they're worth it. Because if you're sitting there and you're putting out games and and listen, I'm not saying anything about the developers. I look at this as more of a publishing thing. I think it's the publishers. They're pushing things out way too fast, and the games come out. There are games that come out totally, like dog shit. How long's it been since, what was it, Jedi Survivor was actually really working in that? I just don't think they're worth it to me. So I wait until there's enough patches, or I see people starting to review and say, hey, you know what, this patch, did this for this game and whatever else, now it's working at a better rate. Cal, I sit there with how things are going in 2025. Xbox is the best value so far. No, I disagree with that. When you only need one console to be able to play the Xbox games, your PlayStation games. There's even games from PC that will eventually make it to PlayStation and that. Okay, that's the best value. You actually save yourself $500, $600, $700, $1,000, because I think I was listening to Muchaso last night. Persona was sitting there saying he had like 15 controllers. I don't know what the hell you need 15 controllers for, but hey, the man can do whatever he wants to do with his money. I don't pocket watch anything, but I have 3 controllers, but that's it. It saves me money. Now, I'm not going to take, anything away from Cal, with the best value. But if you're going to sit there and say about their games and everything, and I've been sitting here, seeing stuff, Xbox compared to, I'm sorry, Brap, I'm reading the comment and that, but they're just providing everything that's going to be on PlayStation. I don't have to look anywhere else. I'm just going with one console. As soon as I'm waiting until June to see about the Xbox showcase. As soon as Gears is, and I'll say air quotes because I'm hoping Mag is right. As soon as Gears is announced for PlayStation, my shit is packed up and I'm right down to GameStop and give me my money and I will buy their games. That will cancel everything out for Xbox. I will get rid of everything with Xbox and that's it. So
I don't know what it's curious. I mean, I don't know what 15 PlayStation controllers Persona has because like they're literally all the same.
They buy between they the homies Persona and Bari, bro. They buy, and that's what I always tell people. Please stop using them as a barometer because they they buy an excess of stuff in comparison to everyone I know, including myself. Like they're just on a different spectrum when it comes to buying stuff. So yeah, they have like every controller that comes out.
Can I answer this one question in here with Cal? Xbox hasn't price hiked their players compared to the other. Yeah, they just raised their prices on Game Pass last year.
I mean, they raised the price on Game Pass. They moved day and date behind the paywall of the highest tier. So they've moved a lot of services to the point where it doesn't make any sense. In many cases, from a value proposition, it doesn't make any sense to be on anything other than Game Pass Ultimate. They have raised prices on their games to $70, and their high end console, which to me is the only one that it makes any sense to really have, is the exact same price as the PlayStation 5. So I don't understand the argument that Xbox hasn't price hiked their players compared to the other major console.
Well, the question is,
sorry, Forte.
No, go ahead.
Cal, just to let you know, I mean, Xbox players, they have to pay for online, but yet the PC Game Pass players don't pay for online. So come on, man. I mean, think a little bit. Stop listening to these jokers that are, all trying to sit there and have you support a narrative in that. Start looking into this stuff, before you answer. It kind of makes you, but sorry, Forte.
No, you're good. I guess I'll just say in the direction Xbox has kind of went in, kind of, changed my perception of just the situation in general. Because like I was saying earlier, 4 or 5 years ago, it would have never been, even during the biggest drought of Xbox, I would have never thought about getting rid of my Xbox. But like you said, they just made it so easy for you to like still enjoy and play their games in other places. I just want to always just speak to the people that always say, when it's always like if you say something is, not the downside for Xbox is always like, well, the other side's doing it too. Just for myself, and I can only speak for myself. I don't feel like I'm no less of an Xbox gamer just because I play majority of all my Xbox stuff on my PC. I still have my Game Pass subscription that's good to 2027. I still log into the Xbox app and load all my games. I downloaded, Expedition 33 on my PC through the Xbox app. I still get achievements through the Xbox app. You know, I still play, even if I went over to PlayStation to play those games, I'm still playing Xbox games. So it doesn't make me, in my opinion, any less of a fan of Xbox than a person that just decides to play their games on their platform or on their system itself. And I think everybody kind of just needs to get away from just the fact of feeling like, well, if that person isn't playing on that system or they're not a part of that ecosystem, if they're not playing on the system, they're not a part of the ecosystem. Well, I mean, who are we gonna listen to? Are we gonna listen to the fans that feel slighted by that, or are we gonna listen to Microsoft that feels like everything's an Xbox, and anything that you do that is inside of their ecosystem, no matter where you are, is still you're still part of the family, you know? And I fought against that for a long time because I feel like the more and more they did it, they devalued the platform, which they 100% did. Nobody can take that. Nobody can say they didn't, because we wouldn't be where we are right now if that wasn't the case. But
Mhm.
I also feel like it was a necessary move, due to the decisions they made over the course of like a 5-year period. You
Right.
know, when you start making services like Game Pass and telling people that they don't have to basically pay for games, and then 5 years later you realize you have an issue with people buying games, and then on top of that you're not selling as much hardware as possible, because you kind of purchased all your studios like right at the height of right before COVID hit, and then all of those studios released games back in 2020, 2019, and it's like a slow burn. Now we're starting to see those games starting to come out, you know, but the biggest thing is Microsoft couldn't wait for us to get to that point. And everybody was still saying, like, when PlayStation started putting their games on PC, everybody was saying it, even myself included. I said, PlayStation gamers, PlayStation is basically telling you you are not enough. You are not enough anymore. That's why they're putting their games on Steam. That's why their games are on PC, because you weren't purchasing enough for them to feel like they didn't need to make this move. I'm saying the same thing to Xbox gamers now, me being included. We weren't doing enough for them to keep that stuff exclusive to that platform. And once they started seeing the revenue stream of a behemoth like, you know, ABK, and seeing all the revenue that they can generate just off of one or two different IPs that's, you know, that they just acquired, you're going to start seeing a company move a little different. So I would just tell people, like, you know, listen, we're all gamers in the end. It doesn't freaking matter to me. You could play on a Ouya if you wanted to, if the thing is still around. It just comes down to just enjoying the experiences where you are and having fun on that experience. And if you want to play your Xbox games on a different platform, it doesn't make you less of an Xbox gamer. You just don't have the console to like kind of brag about. And I'm in that same boat. I don't know if I'll own every console in the future, because now we're in that point of that point of period where it comes like, do you really need to have everything? I have a high-end PC with a 4090 and a 5950X. I didn't even go out and buy a PS5 Pro. My younger self would have been like, oh, I got to get a PS5 Pro just so I can, you know, feel like I belong. I'm like, no, I don't need that system. I mean, by the time the games come to PC, they're gonna be better than PS5 Pro. I can wait a year or 2 years or whatever it is. So, you know, everybody got to make a decision for themselves. But I just want people to understand, like, we gotta hold off on telling people that they're wrong for doing this, and trying to point the finger in other directions just because it doesn't fit the narrative that we're talking about.
I just want to say two real quick things in that. I just want to make sure people that are in the chat, listen, I do not hate Xbox whatsoever. Okay. The Xbox 360 for me was the best console I've ever played on. The Xbox 360 had the best controller that I ever played, with. That's just my opinion. But the thing is if Forte would sit there and say to me, yo, I know there's a Gears collection coming out, collector's edition, there's a Halo collector's edition, there's a Fable collector's edition, I am there day one to buy all that. That's those are the games or that's what I will buy on day one because I like the collector's edition. I bought the Doom collector's edition with the statue and everything that's coming in a couple of weeks or whatever. But I don't hate Xbox, but this is what they're doing. Just like Forte sat there and said, they moved in a different direction. compared to what Sony and Nintendo did or what they're doing. Okay. I do agree if they would have maybe waited until Grand Theft Auto comes out, maybe they would have sold a hell of a lot more consoles. I don't know. It is what it is. But they moved in a different direction. They're a third party. That's great. I get to play their all their games and that on the PlayStation. So I mean, but I just don't want people thinking I hate Xbox. Second thing, real quick, is Faded Blaze. To be fair, Microsoft have been pro-consumer compared to Sony and Nintendo. First of all, I want to sit there and say, Faded Blaze, do you know all of the free DLC that Gran Turismo has gotten, that God of War has gotten, that Returnal has gotten, that Astrobot has gotten? That's not pro-consumer. Okay, I get. Listen, every company is pro-consumer, and you can sit there and say anti. It's just that's just the way the companies are. They've always been that way. They're going to do things that consumers don't want them to do, and then they're going to do things that consumers are totally happy. It's a balance. You just try to balance it out. But,
Well, it's a matter of perspective, right? The thing I was going to say is, right, Big Faded Blade says, you know, they've been more pro-consumer. That's going to depend on the way you look at things. If your priority is on low cost of access and low prices, which is a fine perspective to have, then that may be how things appear to you. For me and lots of other consumers on the market, as proven by the way market share sits, Xbox output arguably has delivered not particularly great games in the first half of this generation. And so it's not, to me, it's not pro-consumer for you to deliver games that don't stick the landing and undershoot the mark, particularly when that mark was one that you set, right, by your word of mouth in those, right, in what you advertised. So I understand that, Fade. So so I'm talking about individual games, and you're talking about services. Again, this goes back to my point, right? Everyone has their own rubric for what is of value. There are three key components, right, to the console business. There's hardware, there's software, and there's services. So by your statement, what you're saying is that you put higher value on services and maybe service delivery. And so for a lot of people, that's gonna be what they hold in highest value. In particular, the 35 million people that are still on an Xbox, apparently, that's what holds the highest value to them. But for some other people, maybe hardware is more important. Maybe software is more important. Maybe overall integration, right, and harmonization of their total service, of their total package, platform package, is more important. So all of this, like we literally often have this conversation almost every single week. Sometimes of our own accord, sometimes because this is what the community is talking about, sometimes because we get driven into it by the chat. I'm really trying to move into a space where we don't have to have this conversation all the time. It's very simply a matter of there are 150 million people that have a value system that tells them that Nintendo is the best thing for them. There's another 130 million gamers who say PlayStation is the overall platform that has the best value for them. And there's 35 million people-ish who say that overall their value system, their rubrics, is that Xbox is the best for them. And yes, there's some overlap and cross-pollination, right? But that's all it is, right? Different consumers have different needs and different requirements and different things that they prioritize. Xbox isn't bad. They clearly provide a value, or else they wouldn't still exist and there wouldn't be 35 million people still buying their products, right? But there really isn't any need for us to dick measure, like every single week, like which one is better, right? It's just that there are ones that suit some customers and there are others that suit other customers.
Right. Listen, you could be a fan and you can like whatever you want to like and that kind of thing. Me, I sit there and I look at it myself. I'm just a gamer. Listen, I've sat here and said this to both you, Logic, and BRAP. You asked me, what was it, maybe a month or two ago, about if Steam brought out a console. If PlayStation games showed up there day and date, okay, on the Steam console and that, I'd get rid of all my PlayStation stuff. I'm not locked to a system. I don't care what I play on. It's where I get the best value. okay, for my money and my time, because it's my money, it's my time. I'm not worried about, what Rap's money is and Nate's and everybody else. And that's no disrespect to any of you guys. I just take care of what I can take care of, and you guys take care of what you take care of and enjoy it. That's the main whole thing about this. Just enjoy where you're playing. It does not matter about, a console manufacturer or a company in that. These companies don't care about you. They don't even know you exist. As long as you have a credit card or whatever, that maybe they know you exist. Just have fun doing what you like doing. And that's playing games, and hey, that's the way it is.
That's a great. That's a. I mean, it's a great point across the board. I mean, I always say this. We all we said this a million times on the show. We all have different wants, different needs. I think Logic, you said this. At times, some gamers, those things resonate with. All those things resonate with the particular consumer, which is why I think some people own multiple consoles. But yeah, I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. If you look at how the market's segmented, where you have people on PC, you have people on handheld, you have people on, iPhones, or my wife who plays games on her phone, people who play on consoles. I mean, Nintendo. I mean, it's like this arguing of who's providing their value. One is subjective, and two, it's just. I don't know. I think it's getting kind of old. I don't know why people are still doing the. So I forget who said the dick measuring thing on the chat.
You know why people are still doing it.
Yeah, I get it, Nate. It's just so. I saw someone else tweet this today about one company is offered more value and another hasn't. I'm like, one, that's subjective. Two, to Logic's point, I mean, assuming you value those things, well, yeah, like no shit, but not everyone values those things, right? So, but
it's BRAP. It's, and I'm gonna say this, and I actually have to get out of here, but a gentleman that you and I kind of have a distaste for, and that I have not listened to any shows, so I want to make sure that's there. But I do actually get to see his tweets, and I don't know why, because each of us have blocked in that. But I see his tweets, and he's sitting there, and he's like, PlayStation is in trouble. Xbox was it delivering their
his
game?
Mohawk's in trouble.
I'm just sitting here, I'm like, yeah, but Xbox is a third-party company. If you look at Ubisoft and EA, they average between 18 to 24 games a year. This is what a third-party publisher is supposed to do. It's supposed to supply these consoles with games. So I don't get it. This is the reason why I try to avoid, and you started to show off. I just been watching Twitter just for the draft and everything. But I just try to stay away from it. I was actually going to ask you, is Blue Sky a hell of a lot better? Because I'm ready to go over there.
Oh, Blue Sky's way better. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm going over there. I'll see you guys over there then. I'm out of Twitter.
I hear you, sir.
But BRAP, I got to get actually out of here. Listen, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much, and thank you for putting up with my little rant and that stuff. So
yeah,
I didn't
absolutely
offend anybody in that. So
no, it's great having you on as always, Dupesayer. Thank you, man.
Fellas, have a great night and that stuff, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, yeah, you too. Take care, man.
Thanks.
You guys are beautiful people.
I'll be the first person to tell you. I've said it before on your show, BRAP, and my own. Like, if PlayStation went day and date, PS6 wouldn't see the inside of my house. Like, I mean, that's all it is.
Me too. I'd be like, I'm on PC. I mean, that's not even a conversation. I'm going to entertain with it. I'm going to get PlayStation 6.
Exactly. Put all that money into that PC and call it a day.
but again, we're not telling people they're dumb for having a PS6 if that was to happen, right? Yeah, because we know people that don't want to onboard on. But
again, as someone who works in IT, right, and has to deal with people who screw up their computers in massively impressive ways, I'll be the first person to tell people playing on PC is not for everybody either. So I completely get why some people are still going to have to, you know, get that console
If you
and for that experience.
if you guys are still live, because I'm about to transition out of here and the service sucks. I'll be home in like 30 minutes. If y'all still live, I'll jump back in.
Yeah,
All
no
right,
doubt
cool,
for it.
Forte. Thank you, man.
Yep.
All right.
But yeah, like I said, it's nothing, man. Like like you said, and to the dude in the chat, I even told him I typed it to him because Doom was talking. But if that's what you like, and that provides Xbox provides all the value and all the gaming you need, bro, I am happy for you. You enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because it ain't got nothing to do with me. Like the same thing, Logic. Like I was teasing Logic the moment he went PC only because I know he really loved Unicorn Overlord, and it's not on PC. And I was like, bro, I can't do it. I was like, there are just way too many games that I can't wait for, or and it's not just PlayStation specifically first party exclusives. There's a lot of other third party stuff from Japan and stuff like that that doesn't really um come to PC or day one. And I'm like, I always tell people, as a gamer, it's all about the games first for me, and there's some stuff I really really want to play. And at the end of the day, I'm not promised tomorrow. So even if my patience is till the next 10 years, I'm not promised tomorrow. So if I can play that today with no problem, and it's not gonna hurt me, I'm gonna play that game today. So yeah, I'm not missing out on nothing.
Yeah, let's not I'm not out here patting myself on the back, right? It's rough out here, man. Like I mean this whole Nintendo Switch thing. I mean what's weird is I talked to so many gamers who like, well, we all came from Nintendo and we have this background, and I was like, bro, I was a hardcore Sega dude. Like I didn't F with Nintendo. I was like, and so I came to Nintendo late. I was saying earlier in the show, the one console I sat out in line and waited for was the Nintendo Wii. I had a PlayStation. I still had my PlayStation Portable at the time. I wound up getting rid of it to get. I guess I got a DS first, and then a 3DS. And again, these are all things that I bought, because I had discovered Nintendo, having never had any interest in them. And then I was day one. I pre-ordered and was day one on the Switch, and it had a Switch and a Switch OLED. And over that time, I've never been a big Nintendo first party person, but what I did fall in love with was Fire Emblem.
Yep.
And now there's no way for me to play it, right? So this whole time that this Nintendo Switch 2 stuff has been going on, I've been like, Fire Emblem, they pull me back to the pool. Like, and of course, it's not coming out at launch, right? But it's like, eventually it's going to be there, right? And I am the type of person who's like, I'm going to get the thing now, right? So I don't have to worry about whether or not I have it when the thing comes out that I do want. So, I mean, I'm struggling right over here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I had a Nintendo Switch 2 in my cart at Walmart. 3:15 in the morning. I'm sweating bullets. I'm like, don't do it.
That's funny.
So I feel you. I get it. Absolutely.
Nah, definitely. But yeah, like you said, right there, you just said it, right? The game, right? The Fire Emblem. It's about a game. Like, none of the rest of that stuff. I'm the same way with you, right? The first party stuff from Nintendo don't really do it for me. It hasn't done it for me for a very, very long time. Most of their stuff, but Fire Emblem, yeah, I'll tell you, I was like, when they came out with the new 3DS, air quotes, the new 3DS XL, I was like, man, that's stupid, man. Man, forget Nintendo, yo. I was talking the most smack. They were like, Fire Emblem Special Edition. I was at GameStop, like, here, take the card. Hurry up, take it.
Before you can talk yourself out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just go straight there. Don't second guess. You want it.
My God,
you want this. And I bought one
so funny.
Day one immediately.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Hey, speaking of day ones, Ghost of Yote got a release date October 2nd. Now, Nate, I got to assume this is day one for you. I know it's day one for me. What about you, Logic? Any interest in Ghost of Yote?
Oh, of course it's not day one for me. I don't own a PlayStation 5.
Oh, that's right. You don't own a place. We just talked about this. Never mind.
Nor am I, and I will say I've had a little bit of FOMO that has been like, while I've been dealing with GPUs, right? I've been like, I think we talked about this before. I'm like, I'm looking at, for the cost of a PlayStation 5 Pro, I'm getting an XX70 class card, right? And I'm like, does that make sense, or should you just get a PS5 Pro? The answer to that right now is no. So I'm still not interested in Ghost of Yotei.
No doubt.
Until it gets ported to PC, and then it'll be day one.
Okay, so there's I mean, at least there's interest in the game, just not on PlayStation. Interest when it comes to PC.
Yeah, I mean, almost all of the PlayStation 5, almost all of the PlayStation games, when they get ported to PC, they definitely immediately go on my wish list. Sometimes I pick them up as soon as possible, like the Spider-Man games. But the others, in fact, I bought the TLU 2 remaster on PC just this week. Actually, the same, when I picked up Clair Obscur, because I don't have TLU 2 on PC at all. So that is now the only way that I can play it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm excited to get this release day. It's one of my anticipated games of this year. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ghost of Tsushima. The online multiplayer at Ghost of Tsushima I thought was I don't feel like a lot of people were talking about it when it came out. But
it was fun. It was super fun.
That duels mode, I forget what it was called when you were
are you talking about Legends?
Yeah, but remember it was there was a PvP mode, like it was like duels. You had to like complete certain checkpoints in a map and like kill like take out these like hordes of enemies, and then it was like a race to the finish. Is that Legends?
Yeah, Legends encompasses all that.
Yeah, so but I forget what that game mode was, that specific game mode.
Oh yeah, I don't know the name of the game mode. Yeah. But
it was really good. I mean, it was really good, and it's just, I mean, I remember playing that for like a good solid month straight with T-Rock 40, and it was a samurai class. I thought the samurai class was a little OP in that mode, but it was, I mean, it was just just great.
Historically, PlayStation's like, funny enough, PlayStation's tacked on multiplayers have all been a lot of fun. They're rare, but like the Uncharted one, like I played that for a couple months. The next one they put out a couple months. Me and Priscilla specifically, we played Factions for years, like literal years, like, and it was just another tacked on multiplayer to The Last of Us. So and Legends, same thing. I played Legends for months with a couple people. It was a lot of fun. They had a ton of loot system. The loot system was solid. They brought out the raids. Like, honestly, this is some of the most fun I've had in multiplayer in a long time. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of The Last of Us, are you watching the HBO series season 2?
I've only watched episode 1 right now, mainly just because I'm essentially I'm watching it with someone else. So we've been way too busy gaming. So we've only watched one, but we know what happened. So yeah, I mean, we've seen all the funny reactions going on from people who have never played the games, freaking out on social media. So yeah,
I miss the freaking out on social media. I mean,
right, it was so funny. Like the one tweet that went crazy was like, how could gamers know this was going to happen and not tell us? How dare you? And there was just a bunch of people laughing in the chat, and people were like, look, imagine knowing it's going to happen and having to have it happen again. And he was like, okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah, so, no, exactly.
It was funny, man.
I'll say this,
funnier than anything.
I'll say this, I'm enjoying season 2, and in episode 2, which is the one you haven't watched yet, but I know you know what happens in episode 2. Yeah. I gotta say, like I said this to Logic, it was even knowing what was going to happen from just playing the game, it was a very impactful scene. Like it was like a punch in the gut, and it was for me it resonated a little bit differently, because now it's different when you're watching this playing a video game, right? Because these characters are like CGI type or computer animated, right? So there's that feeling of yeah, there's some, I won't say real or lack of realism, but this, I guess what I'm trying to say is it was a little more impactful to me because it felt a little more real because these were now you have humans, you know, acting out this particular scene, right? And there's a little bit of a different emotional take on that scene than in game. So it was it made me think like, geez, like I can't stand Abby now. I want to go back and play The Last of Us Part 2 again.
Oh yeah, I heard like people love her acting. Like I mean,
she's
I heard
good.
she's killing it. Yeah, I heard she's killing
She's
it. Like
good,
everybody
yeah.
wants to
She's
talk
doing
about her. Like Gene Park was going crazy. Like he was just like, oh my god, her acting is so phenomenal. I just want her on screen all the time. Like, and I'm I won't say anything until I see it. I'm just man, I'm a very visual person. So like for me, when one of the things that bothers me in just Hollywood, it's not necessarily a Last of Us thing, but one of the things that bothers me in Hollywood is like when they cast someone who doesn't fit the part, like visually, it gets on my nerves because I know I know what the person looks like, and I can't disassociate from the person in front of me. Like and it's not, like I said, it's not a Last of Us thing. It's not specific to them. This is a thing with Hollywood in general. And like you've seen certain things where people are like, oh my god, they perfectly cast that. Like Lord of the Rings, like perfectly cast all those people. Like I wouldn't change a single person in Lord of the Rings. Like it was beautifully casted. Um, but yeah, the casting thing is just like killing me. But I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I mean, obviously, as a big fan of the franchise, I'm gonna get through it. I don't think I'm gonna love it as much as a lot of people are. But yeah, to your point about just the acting in general, I've heard it's just really leveled up. Episode 2 and so on has just been, like you said, impactful. Like I've seen a lot of people just go crazy over it. So I think the acting is definitely on the level. So shout out to them for picking people who could really push the part and elevate those scenes. But yeah, I like the visual aspect, and like I said, this was another thing for me with The Expanse, because I read the books for The Expanse before the TV show came out, and certain people really really fit their role, and then there was one person in particular who, and funny enough, is another like buff female character. Like this person is like brawlic, like in the actual reading, right, in the books. But the person they picked for the show doesn't quite fit it. It wasn't as off of a casting to me as Abby, at least as far as visuals, but she wasn't like, it's like, man, a couple weeks in the gym, and this, that, and the third, and she really could have pulled it off. But like this person is described as basically like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of of females. Like this big Samoan, unstoppable force who was from Mars. And it was like I had this perfect image, and then it was just like, that person doesn't quite do it for me. But yeah, that's probably my biggest gripe about the whole thing. But yeah, man, it's been really killing the numbers that I've heard lately. And I mean, apparently it's also affecting the game again. The game is apparently shot up again. Not as crazy as the first season. The first season, I know they shot up like over 500%. But yeah, I've heard it's really, really good.
Yeah, Hero Down Under, she brings up a great point. Yeah, an adaptation isn't
A 1-to-1.
but yeah, I mean, I've actually read I've read some a little bit about that, like like TV adaptation to like comics or movies. Like it's just, anyhow, it's a little more complex, I think people realize. But anyhow, yeah. All right, I do want to move on to what I and Slomo laughed at me for saying this. I said I haven't even played it yet, and it's already my game of the year.
I know what you're doing.
You probably know what I'm talking about, right? You probably know what I'm talking about.
Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Yes. And, I am some of the chatter on social media has been really, I mean, most of it's been very positive. A lot of people are enjoying this game. And when they revealed this game, I'm like, this game looks really interesting. The combat they show when they revealed when they first revealed this game. I forget I don't know if it was at Summer Games Fest. I always forget. But it's currently 92 Metacritic. It is the highest rated game of the year so far. I think it's probably going to be in conversation for game of the year, just based on the Metacritic score and some of the
Absolutely
the critical praise reception, the community and from influencers and media types. And I was trying to get more time in with it today, and I've only played like an hour and like 20 minutes. And my initial impressions, man, the music and the story, just from the onset, I was like, okay, I only an hour and 20. You can't really, you really can't. I mean, you really can't. I guess you really can't say, oh, I think this game's going to be incredible. I mean, again, I did read a lot of the reviews, but my initial impressions with the music and the story and the character dialogue it's been positive. I think it's from what, again, it's a very small sample. So I get that, but
I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean, I'm a little further than you. I'm about 3.5 hours in, and it doesn't stop. So it's just gonna keep pushing you.
That is like, I mean, just the beginning alone, right? Where you have two people who were in love and clearly like, I forget
and
her
still
name.
Love each other.
Love each other. Yeah. I forget what was her name. Sophie,
yeah.
And I forget the
Gustav.
And Gustav. I mean, they clearly love each other. They have feelings, and like she's like, look.
Yeah, probably just. I mean, your show. You guys can do whatever you want, but probably because so much of the story is so. The way the story unfolds in almost every detail is just so important. They just throw out the, some people haven't played it and may want to experience that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, I'm not trying to. Yeah, I don't want to spoil for anyone. I mean, I'm only describing the prologue. But I guess just my point, the emotional connection that these two have, and then I think how that's going to, how that's going to play off that initial, like, spoiler warning. Thank you, Corey. But we're not going to give too much, and I don't think we did give too much. In terms of like, I
was just throwing out a cautionary, before we.
Yeah.
I didn't know how far we were going to go.
Yeah. No. I mean, Nate, I wouldn't. You played more than we have. Or at least than I have. So I think you could probably give more insight, but I would kind of refrain from giving too much. We don't want to spoil it, but I just think from my initial prologue for when I played, like, really kind of set the tone. And it just for now, and that could change later on as I play the game, but really has me invested in the character of Gustav, and like made me think, okay, like now, like I want to beat this thing. I want to go in with the expedition. I want to beat this thing, right?
Absolutely, it's compelling.
Yeah, Corey was saying we're and some of the things we're talking about. Corey brings a great point, are things that were covered that are either in the press coverage, initial press coverage, and then things that were expressed in the pre-release trailers and dev diaries. Yeah,
and I didn't pay any attention to any of that because I just wanted to, to experience the whole game. I mean, I read about the setup, so any of the narrative and story stuff I wasn't aware of. So that's the only reason I said that. I mean, gotcha. I think the thing that's super interesting for me in the game is the world building, and my prediction will be that's what will pull people in. And so the thing that's super attractive about the game is that like if you've read the setup and you've read the premise, and you kind of understand like the basis of like what formulates the structure of these people's lives. It's radically different than the way we live ours. It's limited, it's finite, it's very short horizon. If you watched if you watched Star Trek Voyager, right? And I can't remember what her name was, but like one of the principal characters, right? The life expectancy of her race was only like 7 or 8 years or something like that. So that created like a hyper focus around her life and her experiences right in that limited period of time. If you've watched any type of World War, period film, in particular ones that are situated kind of in and around and in the span of time in between World War I and World War II, where or that cross over those or anything like that, and particularly when they're European focused, right? Where in Europe they lost a whole generation of fighting age males, right? That were literally just wiped out, right? And the disruption that created in the fabric of their lives. There are elements of this story in how these people perceive things and the way they deal with death that is significantly different than the way we perceive things. And this thing goes right at like hard right at it. It doesn't address that topic casually, and it doesn't like try to avoid putting it in your face. I mean, I would definitely say like probably best I mean, in this game, like for you to have kind of a healthy coping fabric of like how you deal with like death, because this does not shirk or try to avoid that topic like whatsoever, and you will see a range of how people deal with it, from stoicism to sarcasm, cynicism, humor, and that is woven into the very fabric of like their lives and personalities and the facets that are presented. The other thing I would say about the narrative and the world building, it's and I'm a person who loves like period pieces. This is very very Victorian, even though it's building around like a fictitious world. It's very Victorian. It kind of hovers on the edge of like steampunkish in certain elements.
I was gonna say that earlier too. I got those steampunkish vibes from playing when I initially playing it.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, right, it is. I mean, as much as the game is about like mechanics and turn based, blah blah blah. Like this, it's really a game of relationships, right? And in how, and not just romance, but just like how each relationship, even like the military fighting aspects of like how characters interrelate with each other and how they see each other and how like the structure, and it's a really wonderful tale in the storytelling. I meant what I've mentioned on Twitter today and Blue Sky was, it's amazing to me that like in this period, in this era of where we've been talking recently, right, so much about since Matt Piscatella's talk in February, I think, and we talked about black hole games and games as a service and games that suck up 40% of like a gamer's time. Like, it's amazing to me that what got dropped in the span of less than 30 days, or maybe right around 30 days, is South of Midnight, Expedition Clair, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and again relating it back maybe less so to the storytelling piece, but more so to the period piece. But there's also like some deep story too for people who are like really interested in like historical Asian cultures, right? Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? And so those three games in conjunction and the storytelling that they convey and the building of relationships that they convey, really kind of remarkable, right? In terms of the landscape of the industry, and that all those games have done appear to be doing commercially well. It's just a pretty amazing tale, which I'm pretty sure we will be reflecting on and talking about at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think for me, you talked about the narrative. I think one of the things I like in games, Logic, is games that have a lot of emotional depth, compelling characters. We just talked about The Last of Us, right? and again, I'm early on, and obviously things can change. It doesn't sound like it though, and I don't think it will based on the reviews. But there was that emotional depth, and that bonding to characters early on for me that I enjoy in games. And I think to your point, like people handle death, and you see that early on the prologue, even the prologue, you see that people handle death and differently. It almost felt like in some ways, at least my interpretation of it was almost like a celebration of sorts in some ways. The way it was with people dancing and a procession of or just flowers everywhere. It was kind of, you know, I felt like people were just desensitized to this event because it had been happening for so long now, right?
Well, they talk about that too, Logic was saying a lot of this is relationships and how people, not just relationships between each other, but relationships to what's going on around them. This person is very hopeful. This person is, why do we even care? This person is, you know, I'm gonna fight till the death. You know what I mean? Like, how do all these people deal with this as it comes around? You know what I mean? Like you said, year after year, right? And it has been going on for a long time. It's been going on for 67 years. Um, so a lot of people have been really, really dealing with this in really different ways. And, uh, like, Logic was saying, some of them are very, you really got to decide, right? At this point, Expedition 33, everybody gets it. This is not like a spoiler or anything, but, the painters, right? The whole thing with, expeditions go out. Are you going to go fight, or are you just going to wait and die? you know we know people who would, in a minute, in a heartbeat, like, I'm not staying here, like, I'm going in, guns blazing, sword swinging, whatever. So you deal with all these very different people, and then you deal with the people who don't go, right? Like, that's the whole thing with, like you mentioned, Sophie and stuff. So, like, I don't, there's so much to it in just that beginning area, as far as like a narrative and pulling you in a bunch of different directions, and seeing all the different characters you interact with, before you even, set off on the expedition, and seeing how everybody else is dealing with it. Like, it's honestly, it's a big thing that pulled Priscilla in. This is Priscilla's first turn-based game, so I'm excited. She stayed up till 10 a.m. playing it. She wasn't supposed to. So it's pulling her in. It's this very darker tone, dealing with grief and family, and all these different emotions that a lot of people struggle to process, in our current day, and so on and so forth. And it's just, honestly, man, it's just incredible. Like, I'm just glad they're not shying away from that, from a narrative perspective. But then also, the big thing from, it being an RPG, and very JRPG inspired, or someone said JRPG, because they're French, but them not shying away from the depth that comes in later, which you'll experience. I know, like, you're barely getting there, but as you start to explore the combat and all these other things, right? One of the most important things, and things that I talk about, and things that you've experienced in other games, Brap, especially with you getting into the Fire Emblem series and stuff, you started to see, and Persona, the depth in a lot of these games that people really love when you get into them, right? Like, a lot of people outside looking in are always like, oh, this is so basic, or oh, this is so, whatever. But when you play them and you're really engrossed in all the world building, character development, and the intricacies and the depth of the combat, it all comes together to create this incredible experience that you're seeing. This these reactions, like you said, to some of the reviews that you read, right? Like, listen to the wording. I was telling people in a lot of the reviews, like, I haven't heard people talk like that, honestly,
Mhm.
in probably decades. Like, I mean, like, the people are like, this is genre defining. This is an absolute revelation to the genre. This is,
Mhm.
a love letter to the genre and everything it means. And, like, I mean, people are literally like trying to pull everything out of their vocabulary to describe how they felt playing this game. And to me, that tells me already, how incredible this was of an experience for so many people.
I think this game's going to get nominations for like best like musical score in a game because the music, from what I've heard,
The music is amazing.
the music's, I mean, fantastic. I mean, it created, for me at least, the music has just heightened that kind of a emotion, right? Um, uh, to the story, to the world. I mean, it's just, I, again, I'm only an hour and 20, but I am like, wow, and again, I mean, read the reviews. I'm like, okay, I could see why people are praising this game and why it's getting the reviews that it's gotten so far. And like I said earlier, I really do think this game is going to be in conversation for Game of the Year. And it's really great, by the way, to see a smaller studio put out such a great game like this. You know,
Agreed.
and to receive the critical praise that it's receiving. I forgot what you said earlier, Logic, about that with all the gas games and what Piscatella talked about. We have this game, and I think you said South of Midnight, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Like to me, this is why this when I played a little bit of South of Midnight too, which I've enjoyed. I mean, when games come out like this is kind of always a reminder for me, at least, that wow, like this reminds me how great this art form can be. And I think people forget that sometimes.
Agreed. I think one thing that I took away from listening to the developer diary and listening to the team speak about how they felt about this game, one thing that I think is important that I think a lot of people forget, and this is why I always say you can always tell when a studio was forced to make a game. These guys all sound like me and all my JRPG buddies who got together and made a game. Like that's what they sound like. Their passion for that genre and everything that encompasses it is so important, and you see it in every aspect of how they crafted the game. Like again, I'm definitely, whenever you have a spoiler cast about this, I'm definitely going to be there because this is so important to some of the failings of or why people are so at odds with some other companies like Square Enix in some of their games, when this game gives you literally all of it. Like they really understood the assignment when they took this on. And like you said, it's even more incredible because you're talking about a team of basically 30 people who put this together. And
Some of them former Ubisoft employees,
some
by
of
the
them
way.
former Ubisoft, yeah, and everybody loves to give them crap, right? Some of them former Ubisoft, and it's like, man, if this team can put a game together like this with that size team, like I think I definitely want some of these other studios, I love some of the bigger productions, right? But some of these things with the tools and the things that they used and utilized, we definitely want to reevaluate what we might be able to do at a smaller scale uh, from some of these major publishers, right? You don't have to put out, a 200-man team and a $200 million plus budget, to get something done. Like, but again, I don't understate the passion behind this team because and this isn't the only time I've seen it, right? A lot of times when I see it, when that attention to detail and when devs are really passionate about something, I think it really shows through. And I say that as someone, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but what I can tell you is when a lot of teams are behind Star Wars things, the attention to detail and the passion for these projects always shines through. Why? Because the team is always a bunch of nerds like us who love Star Wars. Like, and that stuff shines through, right? And that was what I took away as a big part of listening to what the team loved, who all got together and decided to do this project. They're they're honestly, they're all just versions of me listening to them talk about their passions. And they all just have different jobs, the music, the art director, all these things, right? And then they made it very French, right? It's a culmination of where they are. They're the sum of their parts. Um, and I think that's really important when putting together a really good team. it's to make it a sports thing, right? Which
Mhm.
you love, right? The '96 Bulls wasn't just Jordan, right? It was, Scottie Pippen and, all the, Dennis Rodman and all these people, right?
Not Bill Cartwright.
Oh man, come on, poor Bill. His awkward free throw shot.
Right. But you get it, right? Like the point is everybody played their position, right? You got to have the center, you got to have the point guard, the shooting guard, so on and so forth. And when everybody plays their position really well, and the whole team has that one goal, you get something like the '96 Bulls. And like to me,
Mhm.
that's basically what this team encompassed. Like they all had one passion, one big passion to create, a turn-based JRPG inspired game from a bunch of people who have gone on, who are us for 30 years. A bunch of them have been exposed to Chrono Trigger, Xenogears, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, so on and so forth, all these great games. And they were like, we love all those, and we just wanted to come into this and create a game on our own that we felt encompassed all these great things that we've loved over the years. And not only what the biggest thing I'm proud of them about is not only just bringing that forward as an indie team, they didn't just settle for a pixelized basic, right? Pixel games and stuff are cool. People love that stuff. But what I needed people to do in the turn-based space is turn up the visual dial, because a lot of people really love that out here, and a lot of people were not giving turn-based games that shot at, or turn-based RPGs in particular, that shot at a highly, high production value, visual spectacle of a game with great art direction. And I really feel like the team absolutely knocked that out of the park. I could not stop
Mhm.
taking screenshots. It is all over Twitter if you look for it. I
Mhm.
promise you. The social team, on top of that, has been doing a phenomenal job retweeting a bunch of
Mhm.
people's art and
Mhm.
video. And I think just how
Mhm.
inspired I've seen a bunch of artists and videography and all this stuff from a bunch of people, just so excited to experience this world. And even myself, like I said, I've been taking
Yeah.
screenshots nonstop. Like I don't know any other way to say it than, like I said, they really understood the assignment, and they got the recognition they deserve. I'm glad for it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned because they've cited like inspiration from old Final Fantasy titles, which the music we talked about the music earlier actually kind of
Mhm.
reminded me of, like the older Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
Like and I should say I would say some current Final. I don't want to say the current Final Fantasy games don't have good music, but I felt like they reminded me more of the older Final Fantasy titles. And then I think one of the things I've read with the reviews is that it's that they've drawn inspiration from games like Persona 5 in terms of the menus and interactive battle systems and things like that, and I've incorporated like some of the because one of the things I know is kind of the hack and slash early on in the prologue where they give you kind of that tutorial. So I've noticed that,
Mhm.
um, and that made me think of like games like Devil May Cry and to some extent Ninja Gaiden, um, but yeah, this game. I don't know. I think it's going to be. I think I'm going to really enjoy playing this game from what I played. Again, I know I'm only an hour and 20 minutes in, but I really do like what I've seen so far. I think, logic to
Yeah,
your point, the world building in this game looks like it's going to be like, look, it's like and I know it's a strong point. It's been mentioned in other reviews too. So,
yeah. I mean, I'd kind of say the same thing tonight that innate that I said to BRAP last year. So,
Mhm.
no shade on any one individual. um, I would. I'm cautioning the gaming community to reset the bar based on Clair Obscur, just the same way that I said to BRAP. I'd recommend let's not reset the bar because of Baldur's Gate 3, right?
Yeah.
You know, again, I hang my hat heavily on the sociological studies that have looked at projects and success rates and and come to the conclusion that the success of any individual project is more often than not just the result of the right people in the right place at the right time with the right leadership. And the cautionary tale is and I get exposed to it all the time with type super A personalities I have to deal with is these people who walk into a room and assert yay verily I did this on this project and it was successful, so all you have to do is repeat what I did. So I don't know that small teams, right, are always going to be able to render this type of output. And I don't disagree. I definitely think it's a thing that overall the industry needs to reconsider. But I'm not saying you're saying it, but the voice track that typically goes along with that is teams need to do AA, right? And BRAP and I often talk about, well, the reason publishers and venture capitalists aren't investing in AA is because people don't buy them, right? They go after the big AAA stuff. So, there's truth on both sides of the table, and right, the real truth is somewhere kind of in between. And then Cal mentioned in the chat, and I'm not picking on you, Cal. I just bring this up, just as a matter of perspective. I'm not, and I may be characterizing it incorrectly from the way that you meant it because I didn't keep up with the whole thread, but. Ask the question, is it really that good compared to the rest of the upcoming 2025 games? I know for me personally, right, even though I pay a little more attention now, like being like in the content creation circle, but like in general, like I don't hang my hat on hopes and dreams of like what's coming down the pipe. I mean, Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33 is absolutely, in my opinion, one of the most immaculately woven narratives and stories and plot and premise, and melds wonderfully with the gameplay, and it's not going to be for everyone, and that's that was the other thing I was going to mention about like is this project proof that like the industry should swerve heavily in this direction? Right now today we don't know. I mean, sales indications are good, but I can also tell from my time in the game this is a game that's going to be a matter of taste, right? And isn't going to suit everyone, right? It's not quite hopped up on the extreme adrenaline that a lot of the gaming consumer base looks for. It probably, for a certain type of gamer, no insult intended, probably asks more of a gamer than many gamers are willing to put in. So your Maddens and your Call of Duty type, gamers, like this isn't gonna click with them because it does require like a lot of thought. One of the things I was going to bring up is like if you pay attention or you have the experience and you're readily exposed to it, you can taste the flavors of Atlas' style of gameplay and yeah, I mean just a lot of like the skill tree and the building out and the builds you put together and kind of the you have powers that are given to people that are meant deliberately to like buff other people and heal them and you're kind of being set up and incentivized to like have certain players buff other players so that those players can pull off like the really big like attacks. It is so satisfying when a player just executes an attack after they're like hopped up on I'll just call it, Clair Obscur speed or whatever, and the animations, like again, very similar to some of the Atlas style games, and maybe even like the Fire Emblem games in particular. Just some of the animations are like you could tell that there was effort in like, look, when this thing goes off, like there needs to be like a big ton of eye candy, right? That's satisfying, right? A fireworks display. That goes along with like the feeling that the player should have when they execute this. So that it's so awesome that those flavors are woven into the game.
No, I agree. That's a big part of definitely what I like about it so far. BRAP will be there shortly to really dig into the combat and really get to see that happen. But yeah, like you said,
I'm looking forward to the combat. Like just do the prologue and the tutorial. I was like, oh, I like this. The dodge parry.
yeah, just the dodging and the parrying, just the way he swings the weapon,
Yeah.
and just their normal attacks and stuff like that. Everything is very stylized. They really paid attention to making everything very deliberate in what they executed here. Um, and yeah, it just gets bigger and better the further you go. Like I've seen some stuff on accident, from some big damage numbers people were putting out, and I'm like, yeah, I know you could get real crazy with some of these builds, and man, I love when they just let you go crazy in these. And like you said, logic, that's one of my big things. It is so satisfying when a plan comes together. You're just looking at that enemy like, you just wait about 2-3 turns. I'm building this up. I got the AP, coming up. I got them buffed, and yeah, you smack them, and that health bar just disappears, and you're like, yeah, run me my money. like, yeah, it is amazing, man. I love it. It like I said, that's the same thing from all these stuff. Like he even mentioned some of the influence from Fire Emblem, right? That's the very same thing for me, right? I have set up so many characters and so many different things where, letting a certain character get surrounded because they're built a certain way, only to come in and just murder everybody with like a spell from from one of my other characters in Fire Emblem. Like again, the strategy involved, and planning out all this stuff and watching that execution happen in a very satisfying way is definitely one of the bigger enjoyments about any form of turn-based combat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to playing more of it. I'm just really excited for this game. And on that note, I do want to go play Clair Obscur now, Expedition 33, which means I need to wrap up the show.
Yeah,
But
man.
want to give
I gotta
everyone
wake up Priscilla, so the same thing.
want to give everyone a big shout out in the live chat. Thank you everyone for stopping by this evening, hanging out with us. To our guests this evening, Nate and Doomsayer. Nate, I don't know if you want to be found, but if you do, let everyone know they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at the real Innate, or usually every Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Otter Players podcast, which we are currently debating about having a show right now because everybody just wants to play their games, and the news is running a bit light. But I'll probably figure it out, and we'll probably see some of you guys from BRAP's chat frequent our show as well. So. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's all about Expedition this week, man. I'm just having a lot of fun. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but yeah, I mean, Oblivion is fun too. Also playing that. That was a big surprise for Priscilla, who's a big Bethesda fan, funny enough. But she was a fan after Oblivion, so she has never played Oblivion. So she's having a ball with that too. But to explain that, and the fact that Clair Obscur pulled her away from that and she played it till 10 a.m. should tell you a lot about that. Someone who's never played a turn-based game. So yeah, man, just if I leave everybody with one message, man, it's a lot of good games out here to be playing. If you if you out here and you're not playing something and you're not having a ball, man, you might need a different hobby. But yeah.
Yeah, well, no, thank you, Nate. Really appreciate your time as always, and big shout out to Forte joining us as well for a little bit, giving us a little bit of insight into the pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2. Logic, I don't know if you want to be found, but if you do, let everyone know they can find you as well.
Yeah, you can catch me on the Enough to Keep Going weekly video games podcast on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube.
All right, perfect. All right, everyone. Thank you so much again for your time. We'll be back next Friday again at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And until then, enjoy your time playing video games because ultimately that's what it's all about. It's about having fun and, just enjoying video games. So, all right, we'll catch you next time. Thank you again.